The truth is, if you want to get sharp images, you have to be deliberate about it. It's not like, oh, I want to be lucky. If you are going to be getting client job, people are going to be paying for you to take photos, then you need to understand how you can always get sharp images at every single time. Throughout this review today, what I'll be doing today is showing you guys a series of photos that I've taken recently from a photo shoot that I did, and I'll be showing you guys pictures that will be on a tripod and it's pictures that I've taken using handheld. I'll be sharing with you techniques that I've used for more than 10 years to get sharp images, and this has been one of my go-to techniques. And so if you want to learn how to take sharp images, like your images coming out sharp at all time regardless of the device that you are using, this is the review to watch. Without any further ado, let's get into it. We're in the middle of the summer and we have a wonderful weather today, and it's been a lovely day. Something happened to me, especially when I was the beginning of my career. So I had a friend of mine that I wanted to do a birthday. And for me, I was trying to build my portfolio at that point in time. And what I mean by portfolio is that I was trying to get some work and at least to show people what I can do. For most part, nobody will employ me unless I show them what I've done before. And the quickest way to do that is to do probably free jobs, like just go out there and take some shots and all that. And I saw this as an opportunity, and it was happy because it's a win-win situation. He's not paying anything for it. Me, I'm building my portfolio. But what then happened was I took some photos at the event. Before we started the event itself, he asked me to take some personal photos of him, and I did. But as I was about to stop, I was checking the images. He said he wanted to have a look at the photos, and we realized that I took about 10, about 5 of them were not really sharp. They're like not bad, but not really sharp. And I just felt very embarrassed. But because he's my friend, he was like, what, let's redo it. And we were able to get even better photos, sharper. But when I got home, that got me thinking. What if this was a paid client? This would have been a messy situation. This would have been like, wow, oh, do you know what you're doing and all that? And that kind of brought me to a point, and that's what I wanted to discuss today. How do you get sharp images at all time? It's not something that you can just think, okay, you're going to stumble upon all the time, or you don't have to worry about it, and all that. You need to be deliberate. And you need to get things right. If people are going to be paying you to to take photos for them, or regardless of what you're doing, then you need to take this thing serious. So for me, I'll be sharing some tips with you guys. I've been in this industry for more than a decade, and I've done different types of weddings, events, think about it, different type of portrait, product, different things I've done, and I can share with you guys from my experience how to get sharp images every single time. Now, this could be specific in some areas, but for most part, they're going to be general. Like, it's going to be general to all part of photography. A little bit about myself. I'm a wedding and a portrait photographer based in the United Kingdom. And so I'll be talking from that perspective. But like I said, it is relevant for all part of photography. So let's start with the first one. The first one that is important that you need to do, especially when you're using the mirrorless. Now, I expect most people to be using mirrorless camera at this point, but you might not be using the mirrorless camera. But if you are, the first thing is to make sure that you turn on your stabilization on your camera. Make sure that is turned on. If you have an in-body stabilization and you have a lens that is OSS, we call them OSS as well, you're nearly there, because your images should be it should be as stable as possible. Your camera should be as stable as possible, because you have in-body stabilization, you have camera stabilization, you have lens stabilization. Then you should be getting to that good result. So that's the first thing, image stabilization. Make sure they are turned on. The second thing is tripod. And I feel like tripod is the most underrated accessories that most people don't like to talk about. Like, tripod is so essential. Because there's no movement. If you put your camera on a tripod, there's absolutely no movement. And then if you take those shots, there's a high percentage. There's no motion blur going on. So your images will likely come out sharp. So just before we get into the next step into getting sharp images, I'll be sharing a series of images with you guys as we get along in this review. One will be that I've used the tripod with, and so the rest will be the ones that I've not used tripod with. I want you to write down and guess which one I've taken the tripod with and the ones that I've not taken tripod with, and at the end let's see your result, whether it's going to match with mine as well. All right guys, let's go. The third thing that I want to talk about is choosing the right autofocus. For most of these mirrorless cameras that are released, that we now use right now, having the right autofocus for that particular situation is very critical in you getting a sharp image. Let me explain. Like when I'm doing photo shoot, I'm doing, like, let's say portrait, I'm in the studio and the person is sitting down for most of the time, or I'm having the person to be very static, maybe just standing and all that. Sometimes or most time I just use single autofocus setting and it works absolutely fine. Now if I have clients that are moving, maybe dancers, and maybe I want some children running around, then you can use continuous autofocus because it will continuously follow them. But to be on the safe side, just leave that autofocus on continuous autofocus, because then whether you're static or you're moving around, it will continue to follow you. So on a Sony, it is called that is continuous autofocus. On Canon, I think it's called Salvo AI or something like that. And that is what you need to have on, because that will make sure that most of the time, or for most of the photo shoot that you're doing, you're in the right space, because these things has to be in place. Remember what I said in the beginning, you have to be intentional. It is important that you're intentional. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is choosing the right f-stop. For me and for a lot of people, we like to shoot at f1.1, f1.2. These are very shallow depth of field area whereby, you take a photo, most part can be in focus and sharp, but you might have things like the hair or one part of the body, drifting out of focus or not sharp, because you're shooting at that shallow depth of field. So if you want to shoot portrait, first of all, you have to decide what you want. If you want the whole body to be in focus and to be sharp, we were talking about sharpness, everything sharp, then you need to start like at f4, f5.6, f8. I think for most camera, for most lenses, the sweet spot is that f8, because between f5.6 and f8, you normally get the best of most of the lenses out there. The sharpest of each lens out there are between that range, and so you want to stick within that range to get the sharpest. But if you're shooting a large group of people, then you might need to go to f11, f16 to be able to get everybody at least in focus. So choosing the right f-stop will increase your chances of making sure that everything is in focus. But like I said, you might not want everything in focus. You might want the background to be so blurred out. Maybe the environment you're using is not that great and you don't want people to see that environment. Then you want to blur the environment. Then you want to shoot at f1.1. But make sure, if you're doing that, make sure your stabilization is turned on. Make sure probably you're using, if you can afford an SS lens, use that OSS lens. And then make sure you try and keep your camera steady as much as possible, and you should at least be able to get things very sharp as well. The fifth thing I want to highlight is using prime lenses, or using the right lenses, I should say. Now, for most part, we used to have that. There's always this idea that the prime lenses are the sharpest lenses out there. I know that these days we now have zoom lenses that are equally as, maybe not as sharp as the prime lenses, but they are nearly there. So I think maybe that is no longer the case of saying maybe the prime lenses are the only sharp lenses out there. But all I'm saying is that if you use a sharp lens, then you're also, you're guaranteed, at least if you follow the other rules that we're talking about, that you will get sharp images. And how would you be able to find these sharp lenses? Every manufacturing company, at least especially for photography, they all have lenses that people will tell you that this lens is razor sharp. With Sony, I can tell you that the Sony 90 is a macro lens, although that lens will struggle in a low light situation. But that lens in a controlled environment is one of the sharpest lenses that you will ever witness in a lifetime. The Sony 135 f1.8 is another one. That one is just blazing sharp. The sharpness is beyond, I don't know, and it's so sharp. Also, the Sony 50 f1.2, these lenses are crazy sharp, and so you want to make sure you're using, not only are you using a smaller f-stop like f4, f5.6, f11, f8, but you're also using a lens that there are lenses out there that people will say they are soft. Before we go, please don't forget to just hit that like button. That will help a small channel like me to keep growing. I need your support. This channel is only like 1,000 plus people. I'm grateful for that. Thank you for all of you who have been following me ever since. Some of you have been relentless, but I still need you guys to keep pushing this channel forward, and I'm truly grateful for you guys always sticking by me. And if this is the first time on this channel, I do review cameras and lenses. I take you behind the scenes. I'm a photographer, I'm a videographer as well, so I show you techniques and how you can get better photos, better videos, and all that. So if you fancy things like that, or you know somebody who fancy things like that, why don't you share this video with them, and also subscribe to this channel as well. All right, guys, without any further ado, let's check out these images, and I'll catch you guys next time.